Hi everybody, my name is Eero Saunamäki and I'm a professional recorder player from Helsinki, Finland. And in this video we're going to check out quite a new recorder invention called the SIGO tenor recorder, which is manufactured by the Kunath company. So the concept of this instrument is quite cool. This is a tenor recorder, but it looks and feels more like an alto or even a soprano recorder. And a while ago I contacted Kunath and they sent this instrument to me for free for me to make this review, but I'm not getting paid by Kunath and the opinions of this instrument are my own. So the instrument comes in this nice pouch and let's see what's inside. Manuals, delivery notes, and here it says that the filling material is plant-based. Some cork grease and then the instrument itself. In two pieces. This is the mouthpiece, and this is the rest of the instrument. Let's see. Yes, here it is. This instrument has this kind of angled head joint and a built-in thumb rest. And you can really see that this is not your usual plastic recorder. It looks kind of funky and modern, and you can clearly tell from the finger holes that this is 3D printed. And the material they use to make this instrument is called resona, which is this renewable plant-based raw material. And now, of course, the most important question is, how does it sound like? Well, so yeah, it feels kind of strange to have this kind of lowish sound on an instrument which is quite small. It feels like you play somewhere between a soprano and an alto ergonomic wise. And it's quite nice to hold in the hand. It feels really easy to play. With your posture, you have to be a little bit careful that you don't kind of diminish yourself with this instrument. You have to kind of think the opposite way. It reacts to the articulation very fast. And you don't have to articulate hard, because you might experience some cracks if you do articulate too hard. This is the high F. And it also depends a bit on your throat position, what kind of sound you get. If you have this kind of openness feeling in your throat, then everything is fine. There isn't much resistance in this instrument. I will compare it to a wooden tenor in a minute, but it has some pros and cons. Maybe the pro thing is that even kids can get this kind of quite nice sound out of this instrument without having to blow too hard. But if you are a person who wants to blow quite hard, then you have to be a bit careful. Multiphonics. Those work really, really well. So here we have the SIGO and the soprano recorder side by side. This is the Adris Dream recorder by Mollenhauer. This is the SIGO. So the SIGO is a bit taller, but there isn't a huge difference. And if we take a look at the placement of the finger holes, they're almost the same with the soprano. Just the gap between the hand placement is larger here with the SIGO than with the soprano recorder. So it kind of blows your mind when you play a small instrument like a soprano like this. And you take an instrument which is almost the same size. But it plays an octave lower. And now another size comparison. This is a modern tenor recorder by Mollenhauer. This is the Helder recorder. And this is the SIGO. So the SIGO is almost half of the size of this modern tenor recorder. The sound of the SIGO is quite warm in my opinion. It doesn't sound like a plastic recorder at all. Does it sound like a wooden recorder? I don't think so. The sound is quite airy. It's recorder-like sound, but is it a recorder sound? I don't know. But does it make a difference? In my opinion, no. This instrument has recorder fingerings, and it resembles the sound of a recorder, so I like it. So I'm a person who likes this kind of airy sound in recorders. And if you have a different opinion, that's completely fine. But for me, the sound of the SIGO resembles a bit a sound of a wooden recorder anyway. And of course, the difference in the feeling of playing this instrument, which cost like thousands of euros, and this is 139, the difference in feeling is huge, of course. So this feels a bit more kind of, the sound feels diminished compared to the wooden one. And as I told you, there's not that much resistance when you play, and you can't kind of mold and control the sound that much. You have to be a bit careful not to be too expressive, so that you won't experience any cracks. But anyway, this is a very light, very versatile, very affordable instrument. And of course, then there's the fact that this is really an ergonomic instrument. So it's really lightweight and it's really, really easy to play. And it doesn't feel like a tenor at all. I've played those plastic tenors, Yamaha, Thomann tenors. They're quite uncomfortable. And of course, this is uncomfortable as well because it also weighs quite a lot. So if you're someone who plays in a quartet or someone who plays a lot of like solo tenor, contemporary baroque music, I'm quite sure that you will like this. Now let's do a bit of tuning test. This app is called The Tunable, and it's the best tuner app. In my opinion, it's available for all platforms, computer also, and it's calibrated to A442. And let's begin with the lowest note, which is of course the C on a recorder, tenor recorder. So the low C sharp is a bit too low. And if I try to get it in tune, then it cracks. But it's just about minus 10 cents, so maybe I can live with that. Okay, D. You just have to blow quite hard. B flat is a bit too low, but then you can also use other fingers here on right hand to compromise. It's good to have possibilities. B. If the E flat feels too high, then you can add this pinky and just the other of these halves. This is really high, this high B flat, but if you add the whole pinky, then it's perfect. And with the high C, you can control it quite nicely with your thumb hole. And the high C sharp fingering, I have to check from the manual. This is the fingering that they give on the manual. It's a bit high, but when you add half of your finger 6, now it's perfect. So it's really great to have this high C sharp fingering. And for the high D, you have to compensate with the hole right here. And it's quite funny that this instrument doesn't have a hole here in the bottom of the instrument. The hole is here. And why it is here? It's because the bore is kind of folded inside the body of the instrument. So a couple of thoughts about the intonation and the fingerings. Most of the Baroque fingerings work well. With some notes you have to listen to the intonation very carefully to get the correct pitch and the correct intonation. But it's the same with all recorders. I have like maybe 20, 25 different recorders. Some of them are handmade, some of them are factory made, some of them are even plastic recorders, most of them are wood. And with every recorder there are some kind of issues with intonation. And you just have to learn to play your instruments really well. And you have to listen very carefully what are the kind of the problematic fingerings, the problematic notes, intonation-wise. I don't think this instrument is bad at all in intonation in general. I'll make two sound differences. First, on this modern piece, this is Mudai by Fumiharu Yoshimine. First with this Helder tenor. And now let's do a sound comparison on a Baroque piece. This is the beginning of Telemann's Eighth Fantasy, and this is the SIGO. Now the same thing with the Helder. Can you hear the difference? And which one do you prefer? Tell me in the comments. Okay, let's sum it up what I like and maybe don't like about this instrument. First, the pros. Of course, it's really lightweight and the grip is very ergonomic with this built-in thumb rest. I just like the feel of this instrument very, very much. And this also should work with younger players because you don't have to stretch your fingers. This instrument was made in collaboration with the instrument maker Jerry Bollinger. You get this nice tenor recorder-like sound in a shorter body, which is easy to handle, easy to carry. And also the price, 139 euros here in Europe, is not bad. You can get a plastic Yamaha recorder in about the same price range, but if you want to buy a wooden tenor recorder, then the prices are really much higher. It's nice that they have also found this kind of eco-friendly Resona material. And in my personal view, this looks way cooler than a plastic recorder in general. Which brings us to the cons. I know that there are many players who like their instruments to be very historical and historical looking. This is definitely not one of those. And the sound is also a bit of a compromise. Does this sound like a wooden recorder? Definitely not. Does it sound like a plastic recorder? Definitely not. Does it sound like a recorder? Almost. It's more like a folk flute kind of sound. Maybe, I'm not sure. Some fingerings don't work that well and you have to adjust your breathing to get the instrument in tune. For professionals, this is not a problem. For beginners, it might be an issue. So what do you think? Have you tried the SIGO yet? I have played one gig with this. I was just last weekend visiting northern Finland. I was here in this festival and I played this outside when it was just a couple of degrees Celsius, and the instrument worked quite nicely. It also makes a fantastic travel instrument if you don't want to bring your wooden expensive recorders with you. And I also kind of practiced some modern repertoire with this while I was traveling. So thanks for watching, and if you want to help me and my channel, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one.